Hey, welcome everybody. This is Mark Dannenberg, and today is Wednesday, May 5th, 2021. We are here for the Q&A session. I have with me this evening Aaron Rumley, Michael Kastner, and Kristen Kane. So we're going to go ahead and get to it so that we can get on to questions here very shortly. So if you're brand new to this Q&A, you're brand new to our community of traders, we are all about teaching how to properly trade options and how to properly trade futures. Our mantra is learn to trade and then trade to earn. We strongly encourage everybody to look at their trading as though you were starting your own personal small business, and there are things you need to learn before you open your doors, before you are able to actually confidently generate income from your business. So the learn to trade is all about going through a learning process, committing yourself to really understanding, going through some testing of your knowledge and understanding by trading in a simulation mode on options trading. That's generally a paper trading account, or in futures trading, that's generally a simulation account. So learn to trade and then trade to earn. If you invest the time, the proper amount of time to learn to trade first, then your trading to earn is going to be much more likely to be successful than if you just decide to jump into it quickly, try a few things, and then make excuses for yourself that it didn't work out or this doesn't work because you really didn't commit the time to learn first. We're here to talk about the adaptive entry system by New Cycle Trading and Analytics. That's what we use every day for identifying trends. We're also here to talk about the live trading room, what we support, how we support that. Aaron and Michael are in the live trading room every day, and they're there really for a real-time education, providing a real-time opportunity for you to learn during market hours. Opens at 8:45 a.m. Eastern, and it is generally open until sometime between 3 and 4 p.m. Eastern. Futures trading education, we have a whole curriculum for really learning how to properly trade futures, especially focusing on the risk and reward of futures. And that's very tied to the adaptive entry system. We are trading futures on a 5-minute NASDAQ 100 futures chart every day in the live trading room, not because that's the only index that the adaptive entry system works on, but it's because it gives us plenty of opportunity on a 5-minute chart to talk about the signals, to talk about the transition from one signal to the next, why you should take this signal, why you shouldn't take that signal, how to get in, how to get out. And it's a real good real-time learning experience for people in the live trading room. Personal trading plan is for tracking your personal performance. Profit performance, we're going to go through that in just a minute. And then our Profit Builder Plus program for options education. All of this is in the category of stuff that we're happy to answer questions about, we're happy to discuss. There can be other questions too from topics outside of what we really do or support. We'll do our best to try to respond, but if you want to ask me about, which crypto coin you ought to be buying, or you ask me about when the right time to buy a particular stock is, those really are not in the arena of questions that we respond to, although I can pull up a chart, I can evaluate, a stock and give you my opinion based on a very simple view. But mostly we're here to support any questions that you have around the topics that I just went through. And I also just want to give you a heads up with no particular time frame committed yet, but what we are working on here. We're always supporting you in real-time trading, but we're always doing additional trading, testing, and development of systems and signals that will help expand your opportunity for profit production. And the things that we're working on right now, and again, I make no time frame commitment to this, but there are things that we're actively working on with the intention of hopefully at some point offering you an opportunity to participate, is a trade alert program for options trading, for intraday options trades. For a long time now, at the beginning of the live trading room, we've talked about daily crosses off of a daily chart. That's one aspect of our systems trading, but we've been working recently on really digging into intraday options trades, and there's a strategy that I'm particularly leaning towards that we've created that is actually built off of the platform of AES. So it doesn't completely replace AES. It's just an offshoot of AES that is particularly good at identifying intraday options trade trends. And on the stocks that I've been looking at, it can typically be between 1 to 3 trades a day. That's kind of on an average, and the opportunity is pretty significant. So that's something that we're working on. I'm kind of excited about that. We have, for those of you who might be new to our community, we have a smartphone app that we have not used for a while now since our last alert service, but we would probably employ that to send out alerts for trades that we believe are a good opportunity for you. And then the other thing is auto trading, which we've talked about for a while. This is taking some time to develop because we're going to do it right, but this is geared towards futures trading, which could allow us to trade any market around the clock, 23 hours a day. Futures markets are open. And also, which is the feature I like the most, it also allows you to trade multiple markets. If you have a particular set of signals, like the adaptive entry system, and you want to trade, let's say, NASDAQ 100, you want to trade Russell 2000, you want to trade gold, you want to trade silver, you want to trade copper, you want to trade oil. If you wanted to trade all of those at one time, you can open up a DOM for each of those, and what we refer to affectionately as CycleBot will sniff out all the signals at the appropriate time for those whatever contracts you're trading, and it will trade them all automatically. Now, we have a few things that we need to work on with that. We've been doing some preliminary testing. We've done minimal testing of live dollars on it so far, but we're doing extensive testing on it in sim mode. And like I said, with any new program development, there are always things that we're going to need to tweak and adjust and fix and work out the bugs and the kinks. But pretty excited about the progress that we're making on that. And kudos to Craig at New Cycle Trading and Analytics for really taking the lead and making this happen for us. So everybody on the team has been participating in that and participating in the testing, and Kristen in particular has been kind of nose deep in monitoring auto trading activity during the day and working actively with Craig. So anyway, no time frames committed. Just want to emphasize that again, but I want to let you know that those are two very, very exciting things. They're exciting to me that we are in the process of working towards, and hopefully in the not too distant future, you'll hear more about that and how you could choose to participate if you want to. All right, so it's really important that we update our personal trading plan. I went one slide too far, so I'm just going to jump to the personal trading plan. So for the benefit of those of you who might be brand new, the personal trading plan is a way that you can track your performance on a daily basis. You plug your performance into a personal trading plan, which is what you see in front of you. And the personal trading plan does a couple of things for you. It calculates for you what your average run rate is. So run rate is if you take all of your profits and all of your losses, what's been the average of your winning days and what's been the average of your losing days. We are very transparent here. We're very realistic. We understand that we're going to have wins. We also understand we're going to have losses. But what matters to me most is what's the big picture. If I was to take my combination of winning days and my combination of losing days, and I net all that together and I establish a run rate, and then I project forward that same run rate, assuming that from this day forward for 52 weeks, if I can replicate the same run rate that I've experienced so far, what would my annual income be? Remember, this is a business for you, whether you see it as a business or not. It is a business for you, and you should treat it like a business. You need to learn how to manage your business properly. You need to have the support that you need to manage your business properly. You need to have the tools to manage your business properly. And you want to see what the benefits of running your business are going to be and how much time you're going to commit to your trading, and what strategies you're going to use, what signals you're going to use off of the systems that we've offered to you. And by using the personal trading plan, you get to see, well, what's your 12-month projected income? Okay, that's not a guarantee, especially when you're early on in your 52 weeks, but it is giving you an idea of what your income could be. So first of all of this performance data comes from this really awesome tool that Aaron created here. And we show on a daily basis, the details of every single trade. We track the details, what time the trade was open, whether it was a long or short. This is all on the NASDAQ 100 futures on a 5-minute chart. What the strategy within the adaptive entry system set of signals was, whether we won or lost, meaning we made a profit or we lost on that trade. We look at it in terms of points. We also measure the drawdown. So we are in a trade, it doesn't necessarily move in our favor immediately. This one happened to, no drawdown. But you have other trades where we end up taking a profit, but in this case, as an example, it moved 9.25 points against us before we were able to end up taking a profit. So we track all that data. This is invaluable because we then are able to summarize it on a daily summary, and we have a tremendous amount of history in here now. And the more history we have, the easier it is for us to be able to guide you in understanding what to expect from trading a particular time frame or trading a particular set of signals, so that you can decide when you want to work and how you want to work your particular business. So there are 3 different categories, combinations of signals and time frames that we take into account and that we then track on our personal trading plan. One of them is trading from 9:30 to noon, so that's market open Eastern time till 12 noon, and taking all of the adaptive entry system signal trades. That's 4 signals. The second category is starting at 7 a.m. and actually trading until market close and only focusing on the trends. So it's the trend bias signal and the trend continuation signal. And then the third category, which we just added this year at the beginning of 2021, is trading from 8:45 to 4, or it really is between 3 to 4 whenever we close the live trading room. We open at 8:45. So this is all of the adaptive entry system signals plus fractals. This essentially reflects exactly what we are doing every day in the live trading room and the signals we are calling out to our community of traders. So I'm just going to scroll down here, and today the 9:30 to noon didn't perform very well. It was down 42.25 points. The 7 to 4 was up 7.25 points, and the 8:45 to 4 was up 50 points. Now, one other really interesting feature of this tracking tool is we also calculate what the maximum drawdown or the maximum profit was in this last category. So we can change this category to reflect whatever time frame we want and whatever set of signals. And we can see that today, at one point today, this category was showing a 36-point loss, but the maximum was 50 points of profit, and we ended up finishing at 50 points of profit. So we have all that data. I mean, it's invaluable data for us to be able to not only differentiate a good system, good trading market metrics system from a weak system. It also helps us guide you, especially if you're brand new, to what to expect from your particular trading. So I'm going to jump back to the personal trading plan. We take that performance data and we plug it in at the end of the day into our personal trading plan here. We plug in what the profit or loss was on a dollar value basis. Each point that we win or lose on the NASDAQ 100 futures is worth $20, equivalent to $20 per contract. And in this case, we had 36 contracts. All right, so we are now 43.5 weeks into a 52-week plan. We're coming down to our last 8 weeks of our 52-week plan. We started in July of 2020. During that 43.5 weeks, we've had 76 losing days. And we are averaging on our winning days 21.63 points a day, and on our losing days, 43.55. Now we have far fewer losing days than we have winning days, and so the dynamics of the win-loss ratio work very well for us here, even though the average point value on winning days is less than the average point value on losing days. So that's our run rate. The area shaded in blue is our history. Those numbers and values won't change. They're already, logged in. Nothing's going to change those values. That's all history now. It's the go forward. It's the balance of our 52-week plan, the next 8.5 weeks, that we really are most interested in. And so what we do is we very simply take those run rate values and we record them in these two fields, where these two fields are going to drive what the forecast is. The forecast for the remaining 8.5 weeks, or if we were only 10 weeks into a plan, it would be the forecast for the remaining 42 weeks. So the blue shaded area is our history. Everything below that is what is still yet to come. And we are estimating what is to come based on what our history has derived so far. So right now what we see is that based on these values, these run rate values, and the same values for our forecast, if we keep our maximum number of contracts to 3, that our 12-month income should be somewhere around 127,000, just a little over 127,000. That number in the next 8.5 weeks will likely change a little bit, but this far into a plan, as long as there's nothing dramatic that happens, we shouldn't expect to see that change too much. We should see that be fairly stable somewhere right around the 127,000 mark. I think that's an outstanding number right there, because this account started with $5,000. $5,000, we started with one contract per trade, and then we allow the personal trading plan to graduate us up to a maximum number of contracts that we choose. I could make the maximum number of contracts 50 if I wanted to. That'd be a little insane, but just to demonstrate an example, that would dramatically change our projected income. Nothing in our history would change, but going forward, starting tomorrow, we'd be trading 20 contracts and we'd be graduating up to 50 contracts here in another month and a half or so. And so we can dramatically influence the overall income by changing the number of contracts. We're going to leave ours at a maximum of 3. So the other two categories, the one that starts at 7 a.m. and goes until the end, until we're done trading for the day, is the same thing, 43.6 weeks. We've got 78 losing days in this category, a couple additional losing days in the other. But the winning day average is 25.69, and the losing day average is 43.48. So it's the same process here. We're recording those in our future forecast for the next 8.5 weeks. And our forecast, having started this account also with just $5,000, is showing an income that should be in the neighborhood of somewhere around $178,000. And then the last category, which I mentioned, we just started in January of 2021. We wanted a calendar year category, and we also wanted a category that corresponded exactly to what we do throughout the day in the live trading room, calling out each of the 4 adaptive entry system signals as well as fractals on top of that. So we're only 17.5 weeks into this category. We've had 28 losing days in this category. The average win is 37.8. The average loss is 63.86. We put those into our future forecast. We're still in this category maintaining a maximum contract growth of 3. Again, we can make it whatever we want. And presently, the forecast for 12 months is 251,000. Again, we just start with $5,000 when we are opening these accounts. How dramatically could we change that number? If I decided I wanted to grow up to 10 contracts, I'd immediately be at 10 now, not because I just put in 10, but because that value right here, the number of contracts that we're trading, is influenced by 2 things. It's influenced by my maximum number of contracts, and it's also influenced by this percentage value over here, which we have logged at 10%. We will only allow 10% of the balance of the account to be used for the margin requirement for futures contracts. Each contract requires a margin of $500 at Infinity Futures where we trade. So I can change that to 5%, I can change it to 50%. We like a conservative value of 10%. We're only using 10% of the balance of the account. So if I decided to make this 50 contracts, which once again I think would be insane, tomorrow we would be graduating up to 13 contracts because there's enough balance in the account to support the margin requirement 13 contracts. And it won't grow to 50 or anything higher than 13 until the balance of the account grows, and then it will steadily just tell us how many contracts we ought to be trading. I think 3 is a very realistic, very conservative number, especially when paired with a 10% of the balance of the account. I think that that's all a good combination of conservative factors. So right now, after the first 17 and a half weeks, 251,000 is the forecast, having started with $5,000. This value is more likely to change over time than the other two categories because we only have 8.5 weeks left in the other two categories, and they are greatly influenced by what we already have logged in as profits. So that's the value right there of the personal trading plan. On a daily basis, you have a reasonable estimate of what your income can be for a 12-month period. One last thing I want to say, and I talked about this briefly on the last Q&A. I get the question periodically about, I don't know how to do this because, I trade for a month and I take my profits out, and then the next couple of weeks I have some losses, and so then I'm down, and then I don't know what to do. Well, if you were going out today to start a brand new business, and maybe you had to open a storefront, you had to do some leasehold improvements, maybe you had to buy a fleet, you had to get inventory, you had to hire employees. You've got expenses and you've got time that it's going to that's going to require you to be patient before you actually have your first dollar of revenue. Well, trading is no different. In that business scenario, opening a storefront scenario, you're going to have some money set aside to live on while you're getting your business launched. So maybe it's a part-time business and you still have a full-time job, and you're going to put one foot in both fields until you can generate enough cash flow and enough profits from your business to support the income that you are hoping to give up. Trading is no different. An ideal way to trade is, first of all, learn to trade and then trade to earn, and have 12 months. 12 months is ideal. I'm saying 12 months of whatever you require as income set aside to live on. And that way you can go through a few months of trading, of learning, first of all, and then trading to build your account, where you're not trying to take money out on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. And then you run into that period where, well, here's a few more losses, and you're feeling a little stressed. Having that money set aside and living on that money for a year, and then just letting your account trade, letting yourself be comfortable to trade your account for a year. If at the end of a year you have 251,000, well, you've probably replaced your income. If at the end of a year you have 178,000, you just have to decide, whether or not that's sufficient. And let's just say you made $127,000. Whatever you need to live on, if that would cover it, you would take that out and you would put that aside to live on for the next 12 months, the second 12-month period, and you turn around and start trading your account all over again. And that is how you transition from a full-time income or something that you're trying to maybe get away from and move more strongly towards your trading being a full-time income. Okay, so just last part here. A lot of traders struggle with the emotional side of risk and losses, and what I just talked about is one of those emotional drivers. If you feel on edge, if you feel like you're pressured, I have to make a certain amount this week, I have to make a certain amount this month, you're going to feel some pressure. What I just described to you releases one of those emotional struggles that a lot of traders have. And the personal trading plan is going to help you see the big picture. It's going to help you understand when is enough, because in order to hit 127,000 or 251,000 of profit over a 12-month period, you're going to know what your positive day and negative day run rates are. That gives you an idea of when is enough enough? When should I just stop for the day, whether it's because you're having a winning day or a losing day? It helps guide you in that. It tells you what your potential 52-week income is, and our personal trading plan, as I just showed you, is ranging between 127,000 and 251,000. Depends on which strategy we're using and what time frame we're talking about. But we started with just $5,000 in each account, and as little as 2.5 hours a day, which is the 9:30 to noon category, is driving about 127,000. Now, I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to say it again because I think it's a really important statistic. According to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, the median household income in the U.S. is $78,500. That's a full-time income. That's a median household income. And we're talking about something that could earn possibly, no guarantees at all. Everybody has a different aptitude and skill sets and attention span and attentiveness to following rules, but potentially 2.5 hours a day can get you $127,000 a year, just simply based on what we've shown for the past 42 weeks. All right, so again, learn to trade, trade to earn. We're here to talk about futures trading education, options education, the adaptive entry system, live trading room, personal trading plan. We've built all these tools for you so that you can build a personal trading business. And if you want to learn more, you can go to optionsmoneymaker.com/investor2. So let's go ahead and move on to questions. I'm going to put this on a chart.
That's great, because our first question's from Rob asking, could you go over the momentum signal? I was looking at your website and wasn't 100% sure on it. So the momentum signals are going to be the M's labeled. Mark's pointing to one right now. What happens with the momentum signal is, for a long momentum signal, generally Cycle Finder Plus, which is the indicator below the price bars, is going to be coming from the buy zone, which is below that green horizontal line, and crossing up. It also has to do with price moving in a momentum of price, something behind the scenes. But part of what goes into it for a long momentum is that Cycle Finder Plus is crossing up from the buy zone. And then the opposite is true for a short momentum. Cycle Finder Plus is crossing down from the sell zone, and the sell zone's anything above that red horizontal line.
And this one's actually a really great example, Aaron, because the momentum signal was created to help identify a retracement within a trending pattern. So we may not be done going lower or higher, but right now we're going to take a pause. And you hear Michael talk quite a bit about 618 retracements or 382 retracements, and that's comparable to what we're talking about. So here's a great example. Here's a short trend, all evidenced by the red price bars, and this short trend started here on the second red price bar. Well, here's a break in that trend and a nice opportunity to have a counter trend signal. The trend was still short, but here's a counter trend signal to go long. That actually gave a nice 10-point profit right there. And then we resumed the short trend, continuing to move lower. So a momentum signal, some people have said to me that they're really uncomfortable taking momentum signals simply because it is a counter trend signal. We can show you time and time again how well that momentum signal works. Here's a short-term short trend as an example. Here's momentum signal. Well, in this case, that happened to be where the trend was starting to reach exhaustion, and the momentum signal said, nope, go long here. And you go long, and then the price took off to the upside. That happened to be the pivot point, the transition. So momentum signals can be very strong.
Okay, Mark. So Steve's asking, why was the name Fractal chosen for the peak valley signal strategy? Why not just call it a high peak or a low valley. I understand what a fractal means, but I don't see how it is relevant to this peak valley strategy. Please.
Yeah. Well, fractal is a very commonly understood technical term in trading. It's not something that we created. And Stephen, I mean, just to be honest, I wouldn't get hung up on what it's called. I would understand how it's used. That's really what's important. I don't care if it's called my mother's panties. That's probably bloomers. Bloomers. Let's make bloomers. I don't really care what it's called. What I want to know is how is it used and how effectively is it going to help me trade? So I wouldn't be concerned at all about what names there are. If you go through technical terminology, technical indicators that have been created by a lot of different individuals, there are some funky names for those indicators. So I wouldn't at all pay one moment of attention to what it's called.
Like awesome oscillator, like
Yeah.
It's just the name of it.
It is. It's just because
Someone invented a fractal, and that's, I mean, most trading platforms have some sort of a fractal type indicator. That's possible on the, I'm sorry, on the charting platform.
And so I apologize for my flip remark, because this is a family show, but you know, I meant to say bloomers, but you know, whatever.
Follow-up question. Stephen does say thanks. And is it possible to explain it here? I think he means explain the fractal.
Yeah, so the fractal, which on our chart is identified by this inverted V and the V. When you see an inverted V, it defines what we refer to as an upper fractal. So I'm going to give you two things. I'm going to tell you how to know that it's a fractal. First of all, the chart makes it really easy. We identify it for you on the chart. But I'm going to tell you how it's identified. And the second thing is what you should do with it. The first thing is, I'm going to go to this one over here. This is an upper fractal. And what that means is that the high price of that 5-minute bar was higher than the two prior price bars, and it was higher than the two price bars that followed. So it's the highest price in a 5-bar sequence, but it has to be the middle bar. The middle bar that is the highest price of a 5-bar sequence. A lower fractal is the opposite. Here's a lower fractal where the lowest low on that 5-minute price bar is lower than the two prior bars, and it's lower than the two subsequent bars. So now what do we do with that? The reason we like fractals as a technical pattern is because what we know, not just us, but you know, the market in general knows that historically, when price activity breaks above an upper fractal, there is a high probability, with no guarantee, there is a high probability that the price is going to continue moving higher. So we trade fractals. Let me just see if I can find a good example here. We trade fractals. Here's an upper fractal right here. And the price broke above the high of that price bar on this bar, and then it moved higher from there. Came back a little bit and then moved significantly higher from there. So what we do is we will place a limit order on the NASDAQ 100 futures, or whatever chart you're trading. We'll place a limit order to go long on a futures contract if and when the price hits that high, that hits the high of that price bar. And the order's already out on our trading platform, nothing else that we need to do. And when the price hits it, it automatically puts us into the position, and then we manage it like we would any other trade to lock in 5 points or let it go to our 10 points of profit. On a lower fractal, it's the same thing. So here's a lower fractal. we would have a limit order set at the price that is the low of that price bar. And that price was broken on this bar, the 955 bar, and then it just continued to decelerate lower. And so we end up with our 5 or 10 points of profit in there. So when you're in a trending pattern, one of the ways to take advantage of the continuous trend is if you've gotten into a rising trend and you've already taken your profit, possibly the next opportunity to get into that same rising trend is if we're going to continue going higher, we're going to break an upper fractal. So here we would have been back in the trade, and then we moved higher here, and then here we possibly could be back in the trade because we broke the upper fractal. So you can follow the fractals along as the pattern is trending. And then when the pattern finally breaks and shifts to all of this was mostly sideways, shifts to a declining pattern, it's going to eventually break one of the lower fractals. So the fractals are a generally very profitable way for you to take advantage of price movement that's following a trend as well as breaking a trend and shifting in the opposite direction.
Rob's asking, can I ask a further on the momentum? Where you are for momentum up before the 1445 one doesn't represent a momentum.
1445. So let's go to 1445. Talking about this one. So
And my confusion is because it looks like the momentum is stalled for the momentum up before 1445. Oh, the one before 1445. What is that at 1410?
oh, right here.
1415.
1415. Yes, if that was a valid signal, if it came on at the right time, then we would have taken that long.
And it did. And we actually talked about that in the room because it ended up with profit. It came just a tick shy of 5 points of profit. That late in the day, depending on where you were profit wise, you may have locked in to guarantee yourself that profit. But all of these trades, momentum, trend bias, consensus, they don't have 100% win rate. So that one ended up not working out, just like sometimes a trend bias won't work out. They all have very similar overall win rates to each other.
Yeah, the price on this one, Rod, moved from open of the bar of 13,560 to the high in the bar of 13,564.75. And as Aaron said, it was just one tick shy of 5 points of profit. So there was a profit in there. If you didn't want to lock that in at something less than 5 points, then what would have been the next move, Aaron, here?
I believe the short continuation, that 14
would have taken
30
us out of the
bar.
trade.
Yeah, and then we took a profit on that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was the order.
So if you didn't take a profit on the momentum trade, Rod, so you would have been long at 13,560, and then you're out of the trade at 13,558.75. So basically, you had 1 and a tick point, 1 point and 1 tick of loss on that trade, and then you end up taking a profit, about a 5 point profit on the continuation, and then you have another momentum signal that comes on after that.
Mark, Steve's asking, I guess going back to the fractals, it's like a buy stop in your example to go long or a sell stop to go short.
Yes, well, it's a limit order that you're putting out on your trading dome. Do you trade with Infinity futures, Stephen? If you trade with Infinity, if I have an upper fractal, I'm just going out to that price point on the left side of the dome, and I'm just clicking at that price point, and it puts an order out there. It doesn't put a position out there, it puts an order, and that order will only convert to a position if the price reaches that price level. I'm not familiar with tastytrade's trading platform, so I'm describing it to you the way Infinity presents it. In fact,
Mark, oh, go ahead.
just 1 second here. Let me. So this is an example. This is what we've shown in the past on the way Erin has her trading platform set up along with her chart. And this right here, this blue shaded area with the blue and the reddish column and the price, price is listed in the middle and the blue horizontal line. The blue horizontal line represents the current trading price of the index at the time that she did this. So let's just hypothetically say there's a fractal at 21.5, whatever that is, 11,221, 12,021.5. Just look at the last 4 characters, 21.5. I would go up here, if there was an upper fractal, and I would left click in this bid quantity column next to 21.5. It doesn't open a position, it only puts an order out there. If I had a lower fractal, let's say at 15, I would go out on my DOM into the ask quantity column, and I would left click my mouse button next to 15, to the right of 15. And so now I would have both fractals out there. Now I don't care which direction the price moves. If it moves lower, it will hit my, could potentially hit my fractal and put me into a short position. If it moves higher, it could hit my fractal and put me into a long position.
Mark, Rod is asking, with the different signals you have on the trading chart, do you always stick to having only 3 contracts max open at any given time per your trading plan?
That would be the most conservative way to manage your trading plan. If you, in your trading plan, are estimating 3 contracts as your maximum, and you decide to put on 2 trades at one time, you might have on 6 contracts at one time. You know, you have to decide individually how comfortable you are doing that. The personal trading plan is giving you guidance. You know, if you're having a really strong day, your profits are up, and you know, you don't mind putting on a second trade that has 3 contracts, so you have a total of 6 contracts on 2 positions simultaneously, that's an individual decision that you have to make. You just have to see where that all fits into your comfort level and the scheme of your personal trading plan.
Rob is asking, on trading platforms like Thinkorswim, they give very favorable prices for paper trading. What is your experience with Infinity for paper trading? And then would live trading on the micros be a graduated step from paper? So you will still get slippage on negative and positive slippage on trading Infinity Sim. You can have more on lives because again, it's paper trading versus having an order out there with someone on the other end of it. For example, fractals almost never, I did have it yesterday, but almost never on Sim will have any slippage because you have that buy stop or that sell stop order out there ready to go. But in live trading, it can have it. But I think it's pretty much as close as you can get to live trading when you're sim trading on Infinity. And then yes, a lot of our clients will switch to the micros before they go to the e-minis as a step up from paper trading, just because each tick, each amount is less risk.
I think the learning to trade, and then the paper trading, and then starting your live trading with micros is a great additional step in there to just get comfortable with the whole strategy.
Mark, Rod's asking, with different signals that you have on the trading chart, do you always stick to the only having 3 contracts max open at any time per your trading?
That's what we just talked about.
Okay, I've just been told that, but okay. I'm gonna read the one I was wanting to read. I assume the fractal strategy has positive results, meaning you win more than you lose. And when you do lose, it's not catastrophic.
So one of the things I love about this tracking tool that Aaron built for us is the research we can do. We have all the data, and now it's very, very easy for us to understand what that data means. So what I'm doing here is I'm on what's called our averages tab, and I've selected from a drop-down menu here where I can select any number of strategies or combinations of those strategies, and I've selected fractals only. So we can evaluate, well, what's the performance of fractals? And from 8:45 a.m. to 4 p.m. or whenever we stop trading, which is generally between 3 and 4, we have data for fractals for 195 trading days. 195 trading days. The average daily profit, if all you ever traded was fractals, is $282.13. That's the average daily profit over that 195 trading days. Now, there have been 52 negative days, but the win-loss ratio on the individual trades is 79.1%. So to your question, you're assuming that there's an expectation of a high win rate. We're almost at 80% on those trades. And, if I wanted a very simple strategy, I don't want to follow all the signals. And all I got to do is pay attention to when the fractal changes. It tells me that it's averaging about $282 a day. And that's per contract. So if you liked that strategy, you wanted to scale to 2 contracts or 3 contracts, whatever makes you feel comfortable, that's $282 a day per contract on an average.
Mark, I don't see any other questions out here right now.
All right, I do not either. I'm going to give it just a minute here, folks, see if anybody has a last follow-up question. While I'm giving it just a couple minutes, I want to emphasize too, we talk a lot about the NASDAQ 100 futures, trading 5-minute charts, but the adaptive entry system signals and the other systems that we're working on developing, they work very well on stocks too. So I'm just going to show you Amazon, for example. It's one of my favorite options trades. And in this case, I'm looking at a 15-minute chart. Now, if you've seen me show Amazon before, you know that I will frequently show side by side a 10-minute and a 30-minute chart. But what I've been zeroing in on is a 15-minute chart and looking for opportunities to get into an Amazon trade. And I'm doing enough research to understand how Amazon moves off of the signals, what a likely move is going to be, whether it's, is it going to move 5 points, is it going to move 50 points, and then making an assumption of a 50 delta on the move, I can estimate what my profit might be if I was to trade those options on Amazon. Can you hear that background noise?
Yes.
A little
For a
bit.
second.
Wow.
Well, I think this next question might be for Aaron, actually. Aaron, can you go over I'm assuming the strategy that you finish in about an hour each day?
Yeah, so it's not a guarantee each day. But yes, most of the time we do hit 20 points starting at 8:45 within that first hour, maybe hour and a half from 8:45 on. It's all signals, all AES signals and fractals. And so we stop once our first trade gets 2 or above 20 points. So if we're going into it with 15 points and the last trade runs 10, we might be done at 25 points for the day. And then there's been let's see, 17 losing days since we started tracking. We have 223 days.
223 trading days. There's only been 17 losing days.
Now I've taken it one step further, which this is trading without a stopping point on the downside. And in my opinion, every account should have some sort of stopping point on the downside. So I've done some analysis and found that 60 points seems to be kind of that sweet spot for a stopping point. So if you're down 60 points on the day, you just call it quits and you're done for the day. All but one day. We just had that one day recently, but generally if you're down 60 points or more, and then you don't end up getting back above 20 points. So it just ended up being a logical stopping point, and it had similar amount of negative days than no stopping point.
Mark Anthony's asking, very interested to have a look at how you execute as a part of your overall systematic approach. Are you going to do a one-day open house in the foreseeable future to view the action?
Yeah, Anthony, if you shoot Dorothy an email, or Aaron's going to send you a link, we'd be happy to have you come and join us for a few days. We generally invite new people who are just kind of browsing around and wanting to learn more about this. If you haven't done it before, then please feel free to come in and spend a few days with us. You're going to hear Aaron talking about the signals. You're going to hear Michael talking about price targets, and you're going to hear them calling out the transition from one signal to the next. Let's just go back to the chart. And it is, in my opinion, an invaluable way to really understand that transition. And then Aaron talks about throughout the day the performance, where we are, and she'll be talking about the numbers that are showing on the daily trading plan, daily summary, and she'll be talking about the detail of every trade. She knows exactly whether we made 10 points, 5 points, lost 9.5 points, lost 20 points. You know, we take the wins with the losses, and we're able
And this
to
is
very
what I
easily
actually trade.
summarize. Yeah, this is exactly what she's trading every day.
So
This
there,
is,
you might be able to look hindsight and go, well, that trade went 5.5 points. Why'd they take a loss on it? Well, that's because it was impossible to move our stop to 5 points. It flashed there in a blink of an eye and we just couldn't get it there. So we're doing exactly what we are trading.
yeah, and there are trades where you might see Aaron lock in 5 points and it ends up going to 10. And somebody might ask, well, why didn't you move it to 6? Why didn't you lock in 8? Well, because the way we're tracking, we're trying to keep it very, very consistent. We are either taking 5 when we're locking in a profit, or it ends up going to 10. So if you're a trader who you understand how Aaron locks in 5, and then you have an opportunity to lock in an additional 2 or 3 points, your performance overall might be favorable to ours, because we're not making that adjustment. If it doesn't get to 10 and comes back and takes us out to 5, but if it got to 9 3/4 and then comes back to 5, we'll have a 5-point profit. So I believe we are very transparent, because we strive to be 100% transparent about what we're doing. And you are going to hear Aaron calling out the signals. This is exactly what she's trading. She's going to tell you when we lost. She's going to tell you when we won. And at any point in the day, she can tell you where we stand for the day. And she will very proudly tell you when we've hit what we refer to as AES 20 and what the profit was or loss was. But that whole strategy has an 84.2% win rate to it and averages about $343 a day.
Yeah, some of you even hear the relief in my voice. We're like, whew, we hit it. All right, we're good. We're done. 4 trades, 5 points each, done for the day. Montana's asking, why'd you pick 20 as the sweet spot? So we went through the profit target. We've gone through it a few times on in the live trading room and plugged in different numbers, and 20 points just had that sweet spot of amount of losing days and the daily average compared to the 15 or 10 or even a 25. So that's why we went through and evaluated each variation, and 20 had really that sweet spot of losing days to profit kind of ratio.
Mark, Rod's asking, how does a 20-point target work from 9:30 a.m. to 12 p.m.?
Pulling it up right now.
Oh, look, you can do that. Someone must have created a really awesome
Are
tool
you
for
being
you.
sarcastic, or did you just need another banner ad for yourself?
Every
Okay.
week, every week.
Michael, can you just get that in check for me,
Yeah,
please?
yes, yeah, I will.
So 9:30 to noon, 20 point as a profit target. It's got an 87.8% success rate. And the average per day per contract is just over $226 a day.
You can see though you're losing days almost double, or they exactly doubled.
Yeah, went from 17 to 34.
So we've talked about this. Can you do 15? I think that's the
15 points,
So
27.
you have less losing days, and then you could always evaluate trading more contracts in order for more profit.
Mhm. Did you ever look at lower numbers
And
than that,
then-
Aaron?
I think 10 would be the next one that you'd want to look at. Yeah.
$26 a day. Yeah, 20 losing days. You've got a
Right.
92% win rate.
Yeah, yeah.
92%. There aren't very many things you can trade that has a 92% win rate. I can't guarantee it's going to stay that way, but this is based on 223 trading days of data.
And those
So,
are the individual trades during the day. 92% of your individual trades are going to win.
yes. So I'm kind of on what Aaron just said. You know, if you were someone who had a limited amount of time and you were willing to take that approach, maybe your target's 10 points and you trade 2 contracts. So your potential profit is around $250 a day for the 2 contracts, but you got about a 92% win rate.
And less losing days. So it's a similar overall average of the profit to a 20-point profit target, but less losing days.
Mm-hmm.
And the less losing days you have, the better it is for your mental health, your mental trading health. It is.
Yes,
So
it is.
that's why that we talked about the plus 20 down 60 earlier. That is about 89% overall win rate, meaning 89% of the days you win on that. It kind of fluctuates between 89 to 90%, which I think is phenomenal.
Well, I think anything around the 90% range that is a win-loss ratio is outstanding.
Eric's asking, is the automated version you guys are working with on Infinity Futures or some other platform?
Right now, we are working with it integrating with Infinity, Eric. You know, down the road, this will be quite a ways down the road because we've got to really finish building the product. But, you know, eventually, once the product is built, there's really no reason we can't integrate it with most any trading platform. So we have quite a bit more work to do. We have a team of programmers, and we have, like I mentioned, Craig, New Cycle Trading is heading up that team. And it's kind of exciting. It was exciting for me. I know Kristen and I we had CycleBot running on multiple contracts for a few days, identified a few things. We needed to provide some feedback to the team, but it's really kind of fun to watch it. It just takes the signals automatically, puts it on your dome, and at this point in the development, you need to make any adjustments if you want to adjust a stop to a fractal or anything else. But otherwise, you just let it run automatically. And we're doing a minimal amount of testing in overnight session right now so that we have CycleBot just running by itself. And when we come in the morning, we can see how well he did, whether he was a good boy or whether there's some other additional issues that we need to add.
Mark, Anthony just shared. Awesome. Thank you guys. I'm an active trader, but I'm really impressed with your overall view of trading as a business, tracking, trade journal, systematic trade rules and approach, realistic expectations, and psychological approach.
Anthony, thank you very much. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. All right, folks, I don't see any other questions out here. I appreciate Michael, Aaron, Kristen, all of you being here tonight. And I appreciate all of you in our community that trust us to help guide you to build your personal trading business. And we hope to continue to be able to provide new services and strategies and tools that will help you continue to grow and expand. All right, Rob, we'll appreciate you saying that, and thank you for being here tonight. I'm going to go ahead and close out, and we will be back tomorrow morning at 8:45 a.m. Eastern for another day of the live trading room.